My name is Bill Smith and I'm Chief Executive of a UK-based investment management company. It's part of a global investment management company. We mainly manage money for institutions such as pension funds, sovereign wealth funds and charities and endowments. Well, what got me into the investment business was I'd always been very interested in general affairs and business. And the thing about investment is that what you read about in the paper or see on television is what you think about when you come to work every day. And that can be different one day to the next. And that's probably the single most enjoyable aspect.
My name is Eve Finn and I'm Head of Portfolio Solutions. The actuarial qualification is fantastic for a really solid grounding in all the sort of technical and mathematical aspects that come with working in pensions and insurance, and even in investment. There's fantastic grounding in derivative trading, derivative pricing, all of that kind of stuff through the exams. So all of that training process was phenomenally useful in helping me apply all the theory in a practical working world. So definitely really useful.
I'm Malleus McDonald and I'm the Head of Advisory Portfolio Management in the UK for Willis Towers Watson. Whilst my job title is a bit complicated, I think in simple terms I effectively act as a Chief Investment Officer for our advisory business, and I think when I talk to people about what I do, the thing I always emphasise is it's probably less to do with the I bit and more about the C and O bit. The actuarial skill set does give you a good grounding and understanding that everyone has liabilities. Fundamentally there's no one is just throwing money away and investing it because it's a plaything. Ultimately, at some point, even if it's a rainy day fund, they're going to spend it on something. There are some liabilities, some objectives, and you need to invest relative to those liabilities. And that is just very natural to an actuary, that mindset. Similarly, the focus on being a bit more quantitative about it, thinking about risk, is very natural to an actuary, and you definitely need to do that. There is very much a risk and quantitative grounding required in investment.
I am Francis Chua. I am a senior investment analyst, so I'm an investment actuary. I work for a large FTSE company within the pensions investment department. Where the industry that I work in, we have people from various backgrounds. I think there are some common traits that you do need to have. So I think you need to have a good analytical mind, and increasingly important is also good communication skills. And sort of the role that I'm in, communication skills is very, very important. We deal with a number of stakeholders. We deal with trustees, fund managers, members, and being able to articulate clearly what it is that you want is just very, very important. You can have the best, financial model in the world. You can have the best investment idea. But if you can't explain what that's worth, then, what good is it? I think having a diverse background is very good. I think you have to be creative as well in terms of thinking. I don't think every solution has been thought of, and certainly not every solution that we have today is going to be correct for the long term. So I think that's really useful as well.
My name is Rem Berlin, and my current job title is a Senior Solution Specialist with Inside Investment. I work for a asset manager, but particularly focus in an area of investments called liability-driven investing. And as actuaries, most of us will know, if you're looking to help your clients with improving their solvency, you need to really look at both the asset side of the equation as well as the liability side. Whereas more traditional sort of pensions investing, if you look back sort of a decade or so ago, it was very much purely just focused on growing assets. And that doesn't work if your liabilities have grown by more than your assets, your situation has actually worsened. So what we focus on is helping our clients with identifying some of these unintended risks to their solvency position.
So my name is Summerlin and I work as a solution specialist at Inside Investment in London. The actuarial skill set has given me a very good analytical basis, so my whole thinking patterns and the way I think about just solving a problem has been based on what I've learned through my studies. Now, I might not always remember everything that's been in the textbooks, but it's just given me a framework around which I build my thinking and how I operate on a day-to-day basis, and that's been very valuable. Obviously, been a lot of technical stuff in the studies, which has been helpful when you deal with investment banks and you try to think how they think or how they would, for example, price a certain derivative. The fact that during the studies we had to solve and prove those equations gives you a bit of a head start over some of the people who might not have had the mathematical basis that we had.
I always encourage people to read. It seems to me building as soon as you can an inventory of knowledge about what's going on with companies, what's going on with the world and so on, is never time wasted. And actually, if you're not interested in it, then it's probably quite a difficult road to follow in the investment business. So having a natural appetite for the real world and how it applies to what you do, I would say, is one of the biggest things, and that would be something I would encourage at as early a stage as possible. I think for actuaries or potential actuaries, I'd come back to the point about uncertainty and complexity, which are very much cornerstones of actuarial training, are a general skill rather than just specific to pension funds and life companies' balance sheets, and can be applied in the investment area.
So in terms of developing the mix of skills you need, I think it does come through experience in your job. So I think you can spend a lot of time, and you do need to spend a lot of time doing your exams and doing your training and all of that kind of stuff. But the on-the-job training that you get by being in a company who can give you opportunities to see, a wide variety of different things you can do, from, technical modelling type jobs through to client interaction, through to project management, and lots of different skills that you need to build up. You'll build it through your career, and I've had the benefit of having fantastic experience through working in consultancy, in banking and asset management, and I've got to see different perspectives and interacted with different clients and different colleagues and different people who have different perspectives. I think that diversity of thought and that diversity of experience that you get through your career, that's really helped me, definitely.
I think you've got to speak to the people you work with, the peers, senior people, try and understand what they perceive you as being good at, make sure they give you opportunities to maybe develop the areas where you feel you're lacking, because that might not be you're lacking because you don't have the capabilities, it may be you just don't have the experience, so kind of make sure you get that experience. And also just understanding what role you're aiming for. We're talking here about CIOs. Yes, there's only one CIO. To be honest, the CIOs I advise come in lots of different flavours. So there's no such thing as a, identikit Mr. CIO out there. They all look different because they've had different backgrounds. But the important thing is, within their team, they have people that complement them. So in aggregate, the investment office has all the skills they need.
Our industry is huge. You could work in defined benefit pension schemes, you could work in defined contribution pension schemes, you could work with sovereign wealth funds, you can work with consultants, you can work with banks. The list goes on. There's just so many things that you can do. So once you've decided, actually, I want to be an investment actuary, and then you need to decide which branch is it that you want to go into. Do you want to go into research? Do you want to go into modeling? Do you want to be client-facing, or speak to clients, be a consultant? So there's just various questions that you need to answer, and one good way to try and do that is to speak to someone or speak to a few people. And if you are someone who has good analytical skills, I think you're a good actuary. If you've got someone who's got good communication skills to complement, I think that makes you a great actuary. If you've got those two, and on top of that, a willingness to work for a team, I think that you'd be an awesome actuary.
To fulfill my role effectively, need some analytical, or I would say good qualification is a big part of it. But then also the attitude. You have to have a positive attitude in life, to my view, to be effective in my role, and then obviously be able to communicate with people, because ultimately that's a key part. But don't underestimate the skill of being able to think fast on your feet and then convey that in a simple way to people you talk to.
I think the advice to the younger self really is to start thinking beyond the job that you're doing. Think about the perspective of your boss, your boss's boss, and in terms of what they would find valuable. At the end of the day, I think as actuaries, we're looking to add value to businesses that we work with or for. And actually, the more you think about their perspectives, different perspectives on the same thing, the better you are able to do that.